have to say that I don't always get this reception when I come into the house. I look for it. I tested some things out. I suggested, you know, why don't you address me as senator? They say no. Why don't you guys applaud and stand when I walk in the house? No. But sometimes I do get some applause when I remember to rinse out the dishes and put them in the dishwasher. That gets me a little bit of a cheer. So I am proud of the organization that you've built here, and I'm confident it's going to make all the difference in this election. As many of you know, I've now been running for the presidency for a little more than 6 months. And everywhere we've gone, we've been seeing these enormous crowds. I mean, we had 10,000 people in Iowa City, Iowa. We had 20,000 people in Austin, Texas. We had 20,000 people in Atlanta, Georgia. Across the bay, we had 15,000 people in Oakland, California. But it's not just the numbers themselves that are so inspiring. It's the people behind those numbers, because they come from every walk of life. They are young and old. They are black, white, Latino, Asian, Native American. They are gay, straight. They are disabled. They're Democrats. They're independents. Even some Republicans sneak in once in a while. They'll whisper to me, "Listen, I'm a Republican, but I support you." And many of them are showing up to their very first political event of their lifetime. Now, the conventional thinking in Washington tells us that we are irrevocably divided into red states and blue states, and that we're doomed to fight the same old partisan battles again and again and again and again. We're told that we can't come together to take on big challenges like healthcare or energy or education. But these crowds that I'm seeing, this crowd here today, tells me something else. It tells me that when it comes to what's wrong with this country, the American people are not the problem. The American people are the answer. And we just got to go to Washington to start listening to the American people, because they want something new. The American people believe in what this country can be. They are hungry for change. We are ready to turn the page and chart a new course in American history. Now, we know where that change is going to have to begin. We know that change begins by bringing an end to the policies of the Bush-Cheney, Rove-Gonzalez administration. Because in the last 6 years, we've seen an administration that treats our Constitution as a nuisance, as opposed to the foundation of our democracy. We've seen 5 men on the Supreme Court tell us that they know better than a woman and their doctor about what's best for a woman's health and what choices women should have. We've seen policies that have widened the divide between Wall Street and Main Street, leaving more families struggling to get by, and more working women putting in longer hours without better pay or affordable child care. We've seen fellow citizens abandoned on rooftops after a storm. And we've seen a disastrous war in Iraq that should have never been authorized and should have never been waged. A war that has opposed from the start. A war that has to come to an end. And that's before you get to Scooter. You know, my colleague Dick Durbin pointed out the other day that even Paris Hilton got some jail time. So there's no doubt that part of what accounts for the energy and momentum and crowds that we're seeing is in opposition to this administration's policies. Now, George W. has been a great advertisement for the Democratic Party. But it is going to take more than a change of parties in the White House to truly turn this country around. Now, George Bush and Dick Cheney may have perfected divisive special interest politics. They may have turned it into an art form, but they didn't invent it. It was there before they got to Washington. And if you and I don't stand up and challenge it in this election, it will be there long after they leave. I'm running for president because I don't believe in the cynical strategy that says you have to divide this country into two in order to win an election. I believe it's time to find our stake in each other as Americans and unite this country around a common purpose. I think it's time for us to reach out for a common destiny. I don't believe that we can't come together as Americans to do better. I don't think we can afford 4 more years of conventional Washington foreign policy thinking that led us into the misguided war. I believe it is time for us to engage with friends and enemies in a way that restores America's moral leadership and security in the world. And I will not stand by while lobbyists use their checkbooks to veto our country's progress. I believe it's time to put the national interest ahead of the special interest and address the concerns of people over jobs and health care and their children's future. That's why I'm running for President of the United States, because to meet these challenges, changing parties is not enough. We need something different. We need a new attitude. The times are too serious. The stakes are too high. I believe that the American people want to be asked to once again think in terms of not just themselves, but also of the greater country. I think they're ready for sacrifice, and they're ready for responsibility, and they're ready for truth, and honesty, and integrity. I think that's what the American people are looking for, not just more of the same.